Okay, to solve this first problem on the final here, involving throwing a rock from a tall building, you're going to have to use the quadratic formula. So I've got that on the right here, and then the formula that they give you to find out how far the rock is from the ground, I have that written there as well, and they want to know how long after it's thrown is it going to be 430 feet from the ground. So I've replaced the D with the 430. Now before we can solve this, we have to make this equation equal 0. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract the 430 from both sides so that I get 0 over here on the left equals the negative 16t squared minus 2t, and then 633 minus 430 is going to be a positive 203. Okay, so now that I have it to equal 0, you'll notice in the quadratic formula we've got A, B, and C. Well, negative 16 is your A, negative 2 is your B, and 203 is your C. So we're going to go ahead and plug those in to the quadratic formula. So I'm going to have x equals, okay, negative b. So that means b is a negative 2, so I'm going to have a negative 2 plus or minus, okay, square root. B squared, again, is negative 2. I'm going to keep that negative in parentheses there, minus 4. A is negative 16, and C is my 203. Okay, and all that's under the square root. Okay, that's all over 2A, and again, A is negative 16. Okay, now I'm going to split this up. Basically, I'm going to split it up into 3 parts. Okay, I have this negative 2. Well, negative 2 is just positive 2. Plus or minus, and I have the square root. We'll deal with that in a second, but that's another part. And then the bottom part, the 2 times negative 16, I know that that's going to be negative 32. All right, now let's deal with the square root. So I'm just going to go to my calculator, and I'm going to type in everything that's under this square root, just the way it looks as I have it written. So I'm going to have parenthesis, negative 2, parenthesis, squared, minus 4, okay, my parentheses, negative 16, and then I have my C, which was 203. So I just type that into my calculator just the way it looks, hit enter, and I get the 12,996. So that is what goes under the square root. Okay, now I need to figure out what the square root of 12,996 is. So I go ahead and do that. So second square root, 12,996. And I find out that that's 114. So what I'm going to do is split this into 2 now. So I'm going to have x equal 2 plus 114 divided by negative 32. I'm going to figure out what that equals. And I'm also going to have x equals 2 minus 114 divided by negative 32, and I'm going to figure out what that is. Okay, so the 2 plus 114. Now when you're doing this, make sure you figure out the top first. So I'm going to do 2 plus 114. Okay, that's 116 divided by negative 32. So I get a negative 3.625 there. Okay, then I'm going to do the other one. Okay, so 2 minus the 114, which is negative 112 divided by negative 32. That gives me a positive 3.5. So that's going to equal 3.5. Now, in the context of this problem, only one of these answers makes sense because you want to know how long after is the rock going to be 430 feet from the ground. Well, you can't have negative time, so the only answer that makes sense is the 3.5. So your answer to this problem would be 3.5 seconds. Okay, so there you go. That's solving number 1.